I got a call from Roy Richards one day, and he said he'd like to meet with me at the Southwire board. And I went there, and there I met Tom Upchurch. Of course, I'd known Tom a long time, and P.J. Hovey was there. And we met in the boardroom, and Roy said he thought that really what we needed in our community was a foundation. And he was willing to subsidize this with the funds early on. I think it was $4 or $5 million, with the challenge that we raised $3 or $4 million ourselves within a relatively short period of time. So we were charged with this responsibility. We were a group of people who knew nothing about foundations, with one exception, and that was Tom Upchurch. Tom knew all about foundations. He had worked with the Woodruff Foundation for many years. So Tom was the really key man in this, much more so than I am. And Tom introduced us to the people from Woodruff Foundation. And I think we got a good grant from the Woodruff Foundation itself, but the main thing it did is it taught us how a foundation works. And we found out that foundations work really by working with other foundations. So we made connections in the funny looking building in Atlanta. I think it's the Hurt building. This is where all the foundations are. So we met with the people there, and they introduced us to a number of other foundations. And we learned that you really have to go out and solicit other foundations, the Ford Foundation and a lot of others that have money to give. But the first challenge we had was to raise some money here at home. And really our first challenge was to find a president or a director, and that was Kim Jones. We introduced a number of people, and Kim was the perfect fit. She had been working in Haralson County with the city and county there. She knew all these people, and she was a very good speaker. And she started us off by going to civic clubs. We went with her to begin with, and she carried much of the load, so she deserves much of the accolades for the foundation. She's a wonderful fundraiser and a good person to explain what the foundation is all about. So that's kind of the way it got started, and we began to talk to attorneys here in estate planning, and we used estate planning in large measure to begin to fund the foundation. That as people died, we reminded them that it was a wonderful opportunity to be here forever by making a gift to the foundation. So that's kind of the way everything got started, as well as I can remember.
Well, we had a benefactor that had the idea of a community foundation, and he talked with several community people about this, P.J. Hovey being one of those, Dr. John Burson being another. I was one of them, and at that time he said, this is what we want. We want a foundation that will live forever. We'd like to raise a corpus of large amount of money and use the earnings on that money to improve the quality of life of the people that live in our area. So that's the foundation of that. None of us knew anything about community foundations. He said several things. He said, if you will raise $4 million, I will give you $3 million to form a community foundation in West Georgia. But that community foundation must address these things. He wanted it to address education and health issues in our county, art and culture in our county. The environment and green space was a big issue, as well as economic development, and the biggest of all was social services. How do we continue to take care of those that are less fortunate than us? So those were his original ideas of how to improve the quality of life in our community. So, how do you do that? Well, a letter was sent to approximately 25 people in our community outlining the idea of a community foundation. And he also said at that time, I want the board to be diverse. not only racially diverse, but diverse in every way, economically diverse as well. That frightened some of our 25 people away that the letter was sent out to those, and we had a few negative responses, and we had not an overwhelming response to that. So then the idea was, let's bring those people into a meeting. So there was a meeting held in Tommy Green's office at his conference room table, at which these things were outlined. This is what we can do for this community if we get this community foundation started. So that was the original idea, and we had some more positive responses there than we'd had in the past. We were able to get Ben White of Austin and Bird to come and meet with a group of about 100 community leaders and talk to us about the tax incentives for Community Foundation, as well as the bylaws for the Community Foundation. These are things we might be able to do in our community if we form this Community Foundation. So Ben White was a pro bono attorney that came in and helped the community understand what a Community Foundation would be and what it could do. So after about 4 months, we were able to get pledges for the $4 million, and were able to get going with hiring a director, and those original people that were there with Johnny Burson, PJ Hovey, Dana DeMint, Aubrey Sylvie, and I. And so we got together and formed this 100 founding board members that pledged their support to the Community Foundation. Then our job was hiring an executive director. We interviewed wonderful candidates. Fortunately, we selected our first and only director, Kim Jones, and she's done a terrific job with this foundation, and it's been a tremendous impact on our community, and we see the results every day all over Carroll, Haralson, and Heard County.
Well, the way that the assets grew and were achieved over this past 14 years was that we had a number of things that were very positive. We had a great staff, we had a great mission, a great vision, and we have a great community. All those things work together to allow us to be very successful in a very limited amount of time. And at the end of it, we still are serving the people, which was the original intent of the original plan and vision for the Community Foundation overall. In our community, the donors are extremely generous, and it's a part of just our culture here. People are very altruistic, they believe in giving, and I've served on a number of different funding organizations and found that to be consistent throughout all of those. So we are just right in the right community at the right time and doing wonderful things. The Foundation Board, in terms of its leadership and how it's contributed to our success, has been a function of first, again, having a clear and thoughtful vision and a plan going forward, executing a very successful mission, and then providing very good talent on our Foundation Board that has really allowed us to grow and develop in the nature that we are today.
I'm involved with 4 nonprofit organizations, so the American Legion Post 143, Carroll County Veterans Memorial Park, and the Carroll County Genealogical Society, and the Trinka Davis VA facility that's located just out on the edge of Carrollton. In all of these, the foundation has been more like a partner than a granting organization. The United Way and lots of other organizations give money away in what they call grants. But with the Community Foundation of West Georgia, you deal with people who really care about what your organization is doing. Well, actually, let me start from the beginning. When I met up with the foundation is back in 2008, when Kim Jones and Tom Underwood formed a committee of veterans to discuss how that they might assist the Trinka Davis Foundation to distribute $20 million to veterans in Carroll County. And I was lucky enough to be on that committee, and from that beginning, the VA facility now sits out there, and thousands of West Georgia veterans are now participating in that. And the American Legion Post applies each year for funds that are received from the Trinka Davis Fund that is now established at the foundation. So we serve veterans who have dropped through the VA cracks, which is lots of them. And that's because of that relationship that's beginning. The foundation was a major part in the beginning of the Carroll County Veterans Memorial Park. They gave money to get us started when that wasn't a beautiful park that it is today. And from the years since, when we have projects that meet up with the guidelines of the foundation, we still participate from time to time in that way. And then there's the Carroll County Genealogical Society. It's a group of old people that dig through paperwork for eons of time over the years to locate information about their ancestors. Well, we were far-reaching enough to decide this has got to go digital. And because the foundation agreed with that approach, they were able to assist us in the creation. They gave us funds and guidance to create a world-class website. And through that, they also gave us grant money to hire West Georgia students to scan some 50,000 obituaries that are located on tape at the Carrollton Library. So that then, we have made this history available to people worldwide to get off their own computers to get this information. So they've helped us a lot. As for me, I see the foundation as a partner. It is a bottomless resource that created a community in which various organizations can get together, pool ideas, discover help, to make contacts. This makes us stronger. The meetings that the foundation puts together are wonderful, especially those that bring the University of West Georgia into the mix. The most meaningful financial asset that I've been able to realize happened when Kim came and made a financial presentation to the executive committee of the Post, the American Legion Post. We had a considerable amount of money. We invested that, and now it's been making profit for years and not languishing on CDs, making less than 0.5%. So we are also contributors, and then we come and beg for that money back every year. It's a blessing to the nonprofits of West Georgia.
That's interesting to think about how the Community Foundation of West Georgia has brought together a lot of the nonprofits as far as communication. There are several ways they did that. First of all, just giving us a forum to network, introduce ourselves to key players when it comes to nonprofits. You think about how many times you don't know each other exists in a community. So to bring us together, to recognize one another, to be able to know one another, introduce ourselves in fellowship with one another, but also giving us a platform through social media, through email communication, forming the West Georgia Nonprofit Association. It really helped us to be able to dialogue, to communicate, to share ideas, to also be aware of when one organization is doing something, so you don't go out and reinvent the wheel. You can partner together, partnering services. The list goes on, but to be able to communicate one to another, it's become powerful because now you feel like you have more troops to your army. When you talk about networking ideals and how the Community Foundation of West Georgia has allowed us to network, also including coming here where we are now at the foundation to be able to use the boardroom, use the facilities, it allows us, again, not just to communicate, but to work together, brainstorm ideas. One example in particular is how we could use the social media to recruit volunteers, to help us to be able to market how, if you have an event, how you can recruit volunteers for that event, how you can make sure that you know who to go to for events. When you look at supplies and resources and appliances, that networking has come a long way to help us to learn to help each other. Because at the end of the day, the foundation does more than just grant writing, does more than just donors. The fact that you know how to bring people together, nonprofits together, and just passions together has allowed us to really become able to give even better in this community.
The foundation offers a lot of training that nonprofits go through, whether that's board management or volunteer management or general leadership training. As a result of that, nonprofit leaders get to meet with each other and do networking, and they learn about shared passions, about shared frustrations, about shared opportunities. And so that's one really important way it brings them into contact with each other. I can give you a specific example. About 3 years ago, after a number of nonprofit leaders went through leadership training, a several-month leadership training provided by the foundation, we decided that it would be helpful for us to have a nonprofit network. And so we created that. And it has about 60 members now from 60 nonprofits. The University of West Georgia Community Engagement manages that, but it has a listserv where we can easily share information and ask questions. It has networking events, and there was a great example recently. Out of our last networking event, actually 2 people met each other who had not met before. As a result of that resulted in a significant donation that has benefited 2 nonprofits who work with children in Carroll County. I think any time we do the training, go through, there's just time, whether you're talking about fundraising or if you're talking about board management, you're talking about volunteer management, people get to talk to each other and they have ahas and they say, well, I'm doing this very well, I'm not doing this very well. And so it's the training, but it's also just the fact that we bring people together. And again, some specific things have grown out of that. I don't know how much of that you want to include, but the Carroll County Education Collaborative is one of the groups that's funded with the Community Foundation, and that brings together nonprofits, business leaders, education leaders, experts to work with education for children. So it's the events themselves, and then it's the events that happen as a result of the events, and the relationships that happen as a result of the events.
As a fund holder to enhance the quality around West Georgia, the foundation has been very easy to work with, both for us to make our contributions that we designate, but we also love to participate and donate some of our funds into the Community Impact Fund. The grants that go through the process help serve so many different aspects and areas within our community, and our community foundation is so easy to work with. It has become apparent to me that with our community foundation, they work with the donor so that if there is a particular area they want to target in or hone in on, they can not only do that through the foundation, but the foundation has become for our community a place that those organizations can come to, and Kim and the staff here can vet out and understand exactly what those organizations really are about, and then relay that information to a donor so they make sure if it's education, if it's environmental, whatever the course is, they can understand what that agency, what that organization does, so the donor really believes that their money is going to the intended use of the donation.